Hello, everyone. What's going on? My name is Timpedia. Welcome back to the TNT podcast. Take two, because OBS crashed after a few minutes. Lost a few minutes. No big deal.
It's fine.
Yeah.
We didn't miss anything. No good jokes. We got to get this Friedman rant
No
out the door.
good jokes.
Yeah, as always, I'm Friedman, also known as Andrew, also known as Friedman, and then there's someone else here. Who are you?
The God Emperor, just Tyler. I made this joke before, but now it's dead.
It's just as hilarious the second time, Tyler.
Friedman, go. What were you wanting to? What were you wanting to?
All
No,
right,
I
so
still need to talk
middle?
about the sandworm flesh.
No, Friedman.
No,
what do you want to
we're
talk
not talking about the popcorn bucket. Instead, we're talking about Nintendo right off the bat.
The popcorn bucket.
Fucking did it.
We'll get-
Hold the popcorn, extra butter.
God, this fucking bucket. Anyway, Pokemon Direct was last week. As we expected, they went in with just nothing to talk about. There's no new game coming out this year. They had some random shit at the beginning. I don't know if there was another Pokemon Sleep announcement. More gotcha game nonsense. And they finally roll out a trailer for the next Pokemon Legends game, which everyone thought was going to be Johto. And then on the other hand, everyone's like, oh, it's time for the Black and White remake. So what is it possibly going to be? And they do this really shitty trailer where they try to pretend that, like, oh, what city are we redesigning?
Oh
and then
my god.
the rant is less authentic the second time around. But it was just garbage. It was these wireframe models of Pokemon and shit, and they're trying to hide the fact that the Eiffel Tower's in the background, giving away that it takes place in like the Pokemon X and Y world. Then they slap the title on Pokemon Legends Z, and then they throw an A on screen and then a dash, and I was, this is like from a graphic design perspective, I fucking hate this. It's Pokemon Legends ZDashA, but the A is between the Z and the dash, and the Z falls behind the A into the background, implying that the A has to occur before the dash in this title. Bad graphic design, really stupid. It's Pokemon Legends ZA for the time being.
Pokemon Za.
It's so stupid.
That's
But
Zaza.
they did confirm it's releasing for Switch in 2025, which all I think is it implies that Switch 2 is definitely backwards compatible.
Oh, it's got to be.
There's no way they would hard launch. There was no way they would announce it for Switch. They could have easily just not even said for Nintendo Switch on this game, if they wanted to be mysterious. But they weren't. So we're definitely getting a backwards compatible Switch 2 around the time this launches, which might end up making this. I don't think you can even consider it a launch title. Then it falls back like what happened with PS4, PS5, where like everything was available for both, so like people didn't even consider them PS5 games.
I mean, it just feels like everything else has never been like that, so I don't know.
Yeah, even I'm trying to think with Nintendo, like GameCube to Wii and Wii to Wii U were the only times we had like real backwards compatibility, but like Wii to Wii U, none of the controls work. So that doesn't really count. So like GameCube into Wii would probably be the only thing, and I think like Twilight Princess may have been like the only game that mattered.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, Pokemon Legends, if you like the first one, go play it. I still haven't played Legends 1.
The trailer was just so nothing, and like it's astounding how little was there.
A lot of times I'm like, come on, show me gameplay, but then I think back to like the last 3 times Game Freak gave us gameplay trailers. I'm like, I see what they did. There's a reason we didn't get any gameplay in this trailer.
Freeman, did you talk about the Mega thing? How everyone's like, oh, Mega Evolutions are coming back?
Oh, yeah. So at the very end of the trailer, after they reveal the name of the game, screen fades out, and then this vague blob comes into form, and it's just the logo for Mega Evolution. And the internet's losing their mind, because like for the last every generation since X and Y, like we had Mega Evolution, then we had Z moves, then we had Dynamax Evolution, and then they had like Crystal forms. All of it is the exact same shit. It's one Pokemon can do one powerful thing once, and they keep changing the formula because there needs to be a new shiny thing. And I really hope they're realizing that like they had a cool idea with Mega Evolution, and they really should have just stuck with that. Everything else has been really stupid since then. But they're bringing back Mega Evolution. Everyone's like, finally, Game Freak is listening. And it's like, I don't know, are they? Like, X and Y came out 11 years ago. And now Game Freak's listening? I don't know.
Yeah, no, they are not.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm not buying this game. But speaking of people not buying Nintendo games, there's been some big news here. So for anyone who's in the emulation scene, there are a couple major Switch emulators out there. I know the biggest two are probably Ryujin X and Yuzu. And Yuzu got caught in Nintendo Crossfire recently.
Uh-oh.
with Nintendo making an official legal statement that they believe that Yuzu directly led to declined sales of Breath of the Wild 2,
Oh
and
my.
they made deliberate efforts to make it easy to pirate Breath of the Wild 2, specifically
Damn.
with early release builds on their Patreon the week that Breath of the Wild 2 came out to address performance issues on Yuzu, which I
Big
think is a load of
awkward.
crap to... Oh, sorry, say that again?
It's a big awkward.
Yeah, I think it's a bigger issue just that Yuzu has been charging so much for early access and Patreon stuff that like they're very much profiting off the emulator. But
Yeah.
Nintendo makes a big show of force, and then today Yuzu had closed down their GitHub page, shut down their website, and they put up this statement that was very clearly written by Nintendo lawyers saying, the intention of our development was never, ever, ever to facilitate piracy. Piracy is wrong, and we now realize how much negative impact our development had on potential piracy, and we see the errors of our ways.
Oh, geez.
I wish I was paraphrasing. So,
God.
Yikes.
Whatever.
so Yuzu Shutdown. Thankfully, it was an open source GitHub repo with multiple clones. So, like, the code is not gone. Worst case scenario, we've lost like the last nightly build of it. So, if people do still
Oh
want to
no.
people still want to pick up development efforts, like, yeah, you can do it. It's probably good that Yuzu settled and didn't go to court because Nintendo might have been able to get some wonky ruling against emulators that do have to deal with encryption. For anyone who's not in the know, like if you go like PS1 and older, the console itself isn't fully encrypted, so you don't get there's no legal issue of breaking through a company's encryption to get stuff working. Like the BIOS just are what they are. Whereas with the Switch, like I set up Yuzu on my Steam Deck, and Nintendo don't sue me. I did not have the means to get the actual BIOS information off my Switch because Nintendo patched out the ability to read that info. So I couldn't clone my Switch onto
Don't
an
you love
emulator,
that?
play the games I legally own because
You
Nintendo
can't-
doesn't want me to.
You can't literally clone your shit because you don't own it, apparently.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
welcome to the future. So yes, I had to do something less than legal and borrow someone else's BIOS files to try to get it running. I'll have you know, Nintendo, I played only 3 seconds of Scarlet and Violet and shut it off because that game is garbage. But we're in a weird era of emulation. We're starting from I think PS4 era and forward. It's a little trickier to set up these emulators, and so we may start seeing problems in the future. But at the end of the day, Yuzu settled out of court and they're paying Nintendo $2.4 million, which seems like an insane amount of money for this like fan emulation project. Absolutely insane. But the one like positive to come out of this is everyone in the emulation community is now realizing like, hey, maybe I shouldn't actually be charging for these emulators that are in a legal gray area. So if you're on Android right now, Drastic, the Nintendo DS emulator, they went free. So definitely go download that off the Google Play Store. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, I was like, I don't partake in
You know,
Switch games, because they suck mostly.
You know, this is why I decided to pull out my old Xbox 360 this weekend instead of emulating on my computer.
If only the game was good.
Wow. Okay, whatever.
Damn.
Yeah.
Speaking of re-release of playing old games again.
What's old is new again.
Yeah.
And Final Fantasy VII Rebirth came out last Thursday. Famously in Japan, they misprinted the discs. The data disc and the play disc have the wrong labels on them, but they are objectively correct in the U.S. version. So,
multi-dollar
Sesame
company
Japanese.
can't fucking label their own discs correctly. Love it.
I mean, it's a very simple problem to solve when you put in the other disc and it's like, hey, this isn't the right disc, put the other one in. So, minor inconvenience, game was blown up. But...
No. You say that? I genuinely don't know if I would try the other disc. I could easily see a case where someone gets that and freaks out and like returns it immediately. Or reports it as a broken copy. Probably.
I realize most people don't troubleshoot problems like our generation does anymore.
Well, yeah, you're not wrong, but like I don't know, if I got a disc that said play disc and I put it in and said please insert the play disc, I'd be like, what the fuck is going on? Is this a real copy or something?
My first instinct is, well, what does the other disc do, and try that, but
Nah, I would think that this is some pirated shit, and then
See,
I would take it back.
Tyler and I are sharing that wavelength right now, where I'd be like, "Is my copy like bullshit or something?"
All
Yeah.
right, whatever. Square Enix made a big deal on Japanese Twitter, so anyone who actually gave a shit knows about it already, and anyone who doesn't give a shit probably just bought the digital copy.
Well,
No,
and that's so you're not wrong in that most people who bought this game probably at least know what social media is, so probably found out before or after they returned their copy.
yeah, I'd love to meet a Final Fantasy VII fan who doesn't use the internet. Definitely don't exist. Anyway, game's out. Um, I am stuck in the early zone uh, because of a
Why?
personal problem here.
Oh,
So every YouTube video I talk about, or every YouTube video I've seen, keeps mentioning like, don't miss this shit because at a certain point you'll get locked out of doing stuff. Which, for an open world, open map exploration game, is a goddamn nightmare. Because now I feel compelled to do everything in the first map before progressing the story. Like, I'm 7 hours in and I haven't touched the story in 5 hours. I'm literally just exploring the first map because I'm afraid that I'm going to miss something and then get locked out of it later, which is the worst kind of
Honestly,
fear
shit
to
is
have.
boring though.
It's a boring open world. Like I tried to explore
okay.
everything, and there's just a lot of nothing.
Finish
Yeah.
talking about the game, and then I'm gonna branch off into the one game I want to bring up that I'm playing because I
Fine.
think I think there's a good conversation to have here.
I mean, gameplay's fun. I'm having the problem they crammed a lot of cool combat elements in, but there's no opportunity to use it because everything just fucking melts in this game. I'm assuming boss fights are gonna be a lot more involved. Tyler and I talked. Actually, I talked about both of you at different points on Saturday and Sunday, but like, there's so many interesting party members, but you're stuck with Cloud, who's boring as fuck,
Yeah.
combat wise, in your party. Um, my big concern, especially as I started going through all like the intel stuff on the first map, is Chadley is promoted to like your main menu character, and I hate him. Like, I know America loves Big Bang Theory and thinks Sheldon is the coolest character in existence,
Oh
but
my
like I
god.
can't stand him, and Chadley is just Sheldon.
Sadly,
You
is
can't
just Sheldon.
you can't change my mind on this one. It's I don't like him. Chocobos are cool though.
I don't
Yeah,
like him.
Chocobo's cool. Yeah, no, he's annoying, kind of. And then he gives out the most generic, like fetch quests, pretty much. It's like, oh, go here and hit this tower. That's gonna reveal a bunch of spots on the map. Go here and defeat this monster. Like, it's just so
We need you to gather
boring.
intel on this monster, but when you approach it, I'm going to tell you all the info you need to know about the monster. It's like the Pokédex problem.
Yeah, it's boring. So
It's yeah.
I'm
I'm
where Freeman is right now. Like I'm in that first open area, and I'm like honestly finna just keep it going.
like the story beats, character moments are great. There's a lot of changes from the first game to this one I don't necessarily like. I know there
Is it the
I
gay
saw
undertones?
no, I like that part about it.
Yeah.
The things I don't like are the character models when you're not in the big story cutscenes don't look good. They don't play well with lighting. Everyone's eyes look dead. There's supposedly an update coming to replace the character models when you're in the open world, so it looks a little less ugly. So I'm looking forward to that. I also don't like when you go to talk to people, they give you this wheel where you can pick options, and Cloud doesn't voice any of the options you pick.
Oh my
So you'll go
god.
up to someone and you'll have very one-sided conversations, which feels a lot like old Final Fantasy when no one was voiced, but like it just makes interacting with
That's a
NPCs
should
super
be
awkward.
fully voice actor, right? It's like everybody should like
But like you're also talking to someone who is fully voice acted, but like I don't understand. They're just skipping the part where Cloud has any interaction in the conversation. And
yeah.
like I get maybe they don't want you to have to repeat the thing you just said, but like it feels kind of jarring to me.
I hear
Overall,
you.
high production value on this game. Well, it's fun, but it's got a lot of issues, and I'm concerned that just every game wants to be this open world thing, and I don't want to play this in every single game.
I also think it's funny because I was talking to so I'm playing it with Michelle, right? Michelle's watching me play Final Fantasy. And I was like, yo, because we were talking about like what makes a good open world game. And we agreed that good open world games are, hey, let me go here. What's over here? And you either see some weird shit or get some cool shit or somewhere in between, right? Like, but regardless, there's always something there. Um, the game shows you a bunch of stuff right from the get, and you wander over to these spots, and I'm talking about Final Fantasy like the Rebirth, and you go to some of these
Rebirth.
spots, and there's Rebirth, and there's nothing. Like Freeman,
Yeah.
have you noticed that? Like you go to
Yeah.
spots, and there's literally nothing there.
Yeah, like I'll go up a cliff and the whole section there's nothing there.
Yeah, like, and I'm talking like we've all played video games. We're pretty well seasoned. It's like, yo, this shit has some loot in it. It's gotta be right. When you go there and there's no loot, mildly
Like sage
disappointed.
flower and some rocks on the ground.
Yeah, like okay. And the only way you know that something is there is when the game tells you that there is something there. Like when you go into areas, you get these named spots, right? And that's how you know there's chests there. And then they do you a huge favor or disservice, you decide, by telling you how many chests are in the area. So you must Easter egg hunt yourself to find them. And I just think it super takes me out of the whole exploring bit. Like there's no like, oh hey, I go to this spot. Oh, there's just a guy here. Um, that's giving me a quest, or like, oh hey, there's this like really neat item that I can just snatch. Like there's nothing that's encouraging me to explore, and it's killing me because I just got done playing Final Fantasy VI, where the game is sort of open world. Like the first half of the game is more of like a handholdy, like open world, but the second half of the game is literally like, okay, you got your story beats, you got introduced to the world. Okay, what am I doing next?
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
one of
know.
the
You
older
tell
Final
me.
Fantasies. Like, if a place exists, either there's some optional thing for you to do or optional thing for you to get. There always was. And now it's just
Yeah,
like they need to fill the world with too much visual shit that they don't put actual things there.
yeah. I don't like. This is how I felt when GTA 4 came out. I was like, how do you go from one of the franchises that helped kick off like an open world setting, and you're the one who's looking like you're copying from everybody else?
Yeah.
Like
I
all
got
this. Oh, go ahead.
I got two more minor complaints before we wrap this up because I don't want this to turn into a massive complaining session about this game.
Hmm.
But the two things I really don't like, you would think that, all right, opinion time. If I gave you a menu option that said upgrade weapon, do you think that menu, the upgrade weapon menu, would be the place that you go to upgrade your weapon?
Bro,
I can't fucking
don't
believe this.
even,
You don't upgrade your weapons in this game, but you can
dude.
view your current weapon status under the upgrade weapon menu. Fucking absurd. Um, and then
Yeah,
something I really don't get, and maybe it's because you can't heal on other maps, but like when you're going around the map and you go to these decrepit chocobo stations, which are your fast travel points, you have to use a cushion, which is a paid
pillow.
item that's a one-time use
Yeah.
only, to heal. Or you can use the fast travel point, which has zero load time, to just warp to the place where the free healing point is.
You know
So
what's bad too? You're
what's the
encouraged to
fucking
go
point?
fix these places. I think it would be better if you quote had a cushion and use the cushion to fix the chocobo station, and then you can use the chocobo station whenever you want.
That would make so much more sense as opposed to this like pay to use item where you could just save yourself the 5 second inconvenience of warping to where it's actually free.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's this ties into the whole thing about like we do a whole episode about my grievances with MP in video games or mana in general, but whatever. There's a lot going on with this game that I'm mad about, but hopefully the further in I get, the better it'll be.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. What I do think is actually funny though, legitimately, and like I'll take a second out before we move on to mention like, yo, this game is gay.
Huh.
Like you thought it was straight. I mean, I didn't get to the beach scene yet, obviously, but like,
Oh, don't worry, it'll get straight there.
dude, will it get straight? I don't
Oh,
know, man. Cause was it? Someone asked me because they were like, "Yo, was all this stuff in the original? Like Sephiroth looking into Cloud's eyes?" I was like, "Bro, absolutely not." I'm sure everybody wanted it that way. And what's crazy is, Tim, did I tell you? So I said this to Freeman, but like Sony is aware and they're memeing it. Like it's on their like official TikTok
Oh, I'm
page.
sure.
Dude.
I would not be surprised if Sephiroth has a much larger female fan base than male fan base, and that's why they're doing this.
Yeah. Like there's the one scene of like him embracing Cloud, and then they put the voice line from I almost said Cyberpunk, from Blade Runner 2049. Sorry. Blade Runner 2049 with the Ana de Armas hologram. You look lonely, let me fix that. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, I can't. I can't with this. But we can
Well, hold
keep
on. So
going
I wanted to
if you
talk about
want.
this in
Yeah.
relation to the game I'm playing because
Oh yeah.
so over the weekend I had an urge to finally just stop trying to figure out emulation and just pull out my 360 and replay Lord of the Rings: The Third Age for again. And honestly, it's been a ton of fun playing this again, min-maxing it, putting a lot of time into it. It's really fun. I'll probably play it a little bit after the podcast, but
Yeah, with not Aragorn, not
yes,
Gimli.
with the fake party of fake people that Val likes to make fun of, which is fine. It's part of the fun. But it's interesting playing an RPG that is in that Final Fantasy style that's so much older because there is no going off the path in this game. Like, you're always either on the path forward or within like 5 steps of the main path. There's not really much exploring. There's a couple areas later in the game where you can kind of walk around a little bit, but it's not like there's NPCs or anything. Obviously, it's a Lord of the Rings thing. It's a little different, but I've been playing this game and just imagining what a remake of this game could do. What I would want to change. I have like the whole idea in my head of what I would want to do with this game differently. And it's funny to hear you guys talking about, Final Fantasy VII, which is a similar game that went through something like this. And you guys are saying, has a lot of good qualities, but also a lot of bad because they kind of leaned too much. Like Freeman, you said that this game is too empty.
Yeah.
Well,
they definitely took the criticism with Final Fantasy 13 as a hallway way too seriously, and they've been like really chasing the we don't want that criticism.
Right, and it's funny because like I said, Lord of the Rings is also a hallway, and I could totally see a world where that could easily, where it could definitely be a balance between the two, and that would be amazing. Is if the Lord of the if I could remake the Lord of the Rings game, it would be kind of somewhere in the middle where I'd want to explore a little more, but at the same time, exactly like you said, so many of these games these days are chasing the open world where there's either some little reward that means almost nothing, or there's just nothing where you're exploring.
Yeah. I also think it's a part of me is like I've been talking about recently. It's like I feel like they're just not capturing the 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 spirit of what Final Fantasy is anymore. Like I feel like we just don't get that same sort of. I think the story for 13 was like kind of there, but the gameplay wasn't there. I think that's where the biggest criticism was, and I think they've just been kind of like going off the beaten path with that. And I
Like, we
felt
love to
the
meme on
same
it
way
with
with
the
16.
like we love to meme on the Lycian Falsey, and like on their own it's fine, but the way it was presented was just terrible. They could have
Yeah.
redone the way they introduced you to that world, and it would have just been a lot better, and it would have felt
Yeah.
like Final Fantasy.
I agree. It's just like I don't know. Like to me, like I've had fun with them, like to an extent, like the newer ones, but I feel like they've just been kind of overall missing the mark as a whole. And like I said, picking up Final Fantasy VI recently, and someone talked about because someone was talking about Sea of Stars and they compared it to Chrono Trigger, and I'm like, man, Chrono Trigger just holds up. Like six is Final Fantasy 3 6 is pretty dated, but I think anyone could pick up Chrono Trigger now and it holds up. Like that's a game that holds up.
Yeah.
Like for sure.
I feel like the move to 3D just killed a lot of video games. Like I had tried to imagine what would Chrono Trigger look like in a 3D game, and I feel like it would just be terrible.
It would kill it. I don't think they could really capture that same sort of like feeling. Which Final Fantasy I think they did though, but I don't know. I think they were held back by some limitations, while at the same time I think we're trying to like try new things. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Yeah, they're trying to try new things, and they're just like, I don't know. It's just not it for me.
So how does this game? We'll switch in a sec, but how does this feel to you guys compared to the first 7 remake part?
So it's weird because I played Intergrade like 3 months ago, which it's an interesting bridge between the two because it's still on the old engine, but it has a lot of the synergy stuff they were coming up with for remake. And I personally I liked remake more, but like the story part of Midgar is very easy to railroad and have you go from story beat to story beat. Time that I memed on, like occasionally they would put you into a new hub where you have to do these like stupid side quests. And it feels like, especially with how they did open world design, they're blowing up the stupid side quest part of original remake. So I'll have to get through more of the story because the story is what I liked about remake. It wasn't the pick which side quests you want shit, because that's where I am in Rebirth. So once I get through more of the story, I can say which was done better. But for the time being, I don't really like the engine change.
Yeah, what did I say to Michelle? I was like, yo, this game is a chick if she's a 10, but like she's the most like boring like 2D, like she likes vanilla ice cream type shit. See, Tim's
we ever
upset because
explained
I
to
was kind of
listeners
an
the
attack
inside
on
joke?
him.
Actually, I gotta tell you guys, I heard the whitest thing this weekend.
Oh,
Renee and 2 of her friends stopped by for
oh,
ice cream
say
in
less.
town. No. They
Renee
stopped
and her
by.
friends.
Yeah, they stopped by for ice cream in town after they went on a hike nearby.
Uh-huh.
And one of them, I just hear, I'm like walking away from them. Like we came back from, I walked into town with them, grabbed it, came back, and I just hear one of them go, I just want to be famous. I'm on TikTok all the time, every day. And I'm just like, oh my God.
I don't want to be famous. I just want to. Wait, what? So she want the.
No, she said, I
no.
want to be famous.
I want to be famous. That's it.
Yeah, she said, I don't really care how. I just want to be famous. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not what I want to hear.
That's what I want to hear.
So yeah,
Dude,
that was just kind of funny.
That's funny.
But
that is really funny.
Yeah, no, it was just like, oh God, how like you wonder who these people are out there in the world, and then you hear that from somebody sincerely, and I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, man, no meme. Literally all gas, no brakes kind of shit.
Anyway, that was like 20 minutes of all that, so that's great. So let's
we'll get back next week with our cover of Vanilla Fantasy VII.
Let's stay on the bad news train, shall we?
Everyone getting laid off. You getting laid off. You getting laid off. You getting laid off. I can't find another fucking job. Life is awful.
It's a rough time to be in the tech field with every major tech company cutting random positions
and
left
gaming
right.
company.
Yeah, gaming. Yeah. Really, if you it's really a lot of tech and games right now. Like media in general is struggling because we're going through a huge change in like how media is being presented and stuff. Though I find it odd, like I don't know, I feel like I need to do more research because it's like gaming has seen a huge boom in the last like year or two, and like we're still like seeing people getting laid off.
Well, the thing I keep hearing is, and I don't know if this is true, but the thing I feel like I keep hearing is, oh, well, during COVID, everyone was inside and everyone was streaming and everyone was playing games and streaming shows and everything like that, and all these companies went crazy, growing and growing and growing, and now it's slowing down and money is not free. Interest rates are going up. So companies are now like, oh, well, our investors want us to keep growing. How do we do that? Well, we lay people off. Haha. And it's hard not to feel that way, especially, but also when you hear like, what was it? We talked about, I think either last podcast or 2 podcasts ago, about how Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man game, was like over $100 million to make.
Yeah, and a majority of the cost ended up being just the head count.
And it's, well, not, but even then, at the end of the day, like, the cost being whatever it is, like, this does not seem sustainable anymore. Like that, like, I don't understand how that's supposed to function. How is that supposed to be a sustainable business model? Meanwhile, you have things like Helldivers that are the hottest thing on the planet. That game was $40. You don't need to buy the battle pass. You could pay $20 extra for the additional stuff. And it's like, what are you getting out of all of this? Like, every executive has to be looking at Helldivers right now, and you know that by the end of next year, we're going to start getting Helldiver clones.
They're looking at Oh, it's already happening. Apparently, Helldiver clones are already happening.
Well, there's the Steam pages that are like scams, but
shitty. We're talking like real games.
I'm talking about like Microsoft putting out. Remember how we talked about how apparently Halo devs pitched Helldivers as a game like years ago? Did we talk about that or no? I heard stories online that like apparently some Halo devs when Helldivers got big were like, we pitched Helldivers 2 equivalent with ODSTs to Microsoft years ago, and they said no one would play it, and here we are.
Damn, I believe that.
How perfect would that have freaking been? Can you imagine dropping in as an ODST, pulling a Spartan laser out of a hell pod? Like, would have been sick. But
now we fight for democracy.
Yep. And Super Earth instead of to remember Reach, we fight for Super Earth. Did you see the Mechs thing today, Tyler? By the way,
I didn't see a date, so I don't care.
Okay.
That's my firm stance on it. I don't really give a shit about like that's the equivalent of Freeman, right, complaining about how anime things get like announced, but it's only just the narrator talking over it.
That's fair.
And no substance. Like sure. I always knew that they were coming out.
Yeah, I know.
I need a date.
Anyway, I forgot where I was going with this now.
What? Just people getting laid off?
No,
yeah,
but like you look at Helldivers 2 and you're like, you have to be like that.
Look at Baldur's Gate, bro.
Baldur's Gate, like, yeah, that had that
like,
game
so
is incredible.
Things.
But you know what that game was? That game was years in early access. Early access.
But it's like it didn't have the Spider-Man money.
No, that's what I'm agreeing with you. That's where I was going.
Oh.
Is it took years because it wasn't infinite people, it wasn't infinite money. It was a studio who said, we're not beholden to shareholders. We are going to make a fun game, and boom, they were rewarded for it. You know what? Not everybody is, but there are plenty of indie games that fail. I'm not trying to say indie is the perfect answer to everything, but like it has to be something that, like, Skull and Bones, massive failure.
That quadruple, yeah. Oh yeah, that's something that we talked about.
Quadruple S for quadruple stink.
Which is interesting. It's very interesting, and
like, how are any of these games earning money? Like, how long can you just dump money into a fire like this before you're like, maybe instead of making one super huge game that is not going to meet expectations, we make 5 decent, fun games with smaller teams, and if one flops, well, good thing the other 4 were decent sellers, or one of them happened to hit it big. Look at Pal World.
Yeah, look at Pal World. Nintendo will never learn that lesson either.
Nope. Look at
they never learned from Temtem, and they're not going to learn from Pal World either.
I am going to go and tell Sony, like, hey, be careful. If you think just capping your head count is going to make your games good, I want you to take a long look at the fact that Game Freak doesn't expand.
No. That's never the answer. But the idea should be that games are fun. Like I look at Pal World. People thought that was like a fun survival thing with Pokemon. Hey, wow, big shock. That was fun. Lethal Company was like the latest of the YouTube craze of the screams and the fun, the co-op fun. Helldivers is like this perfect blend of co-op, action, over the top, goofy, fun, actually fun as hell gameplay. And it all blends together. But like, what do all these have in common? They're fun to play. Like, Call of Duty still does big numbers. Spider-Man still does big numbers. But are people like, wow, I had so much fun playing this game? Or was it just a decently good game?
Yeah, but like
Actually,
Sony's big thing with like Spider-Man wasn't like, it wasn't that it was a bad game. It wasn't that it underperformed. It's that we spent too much money making it is their problem.
But I'm
But like, that's the
saying
problem they're trying to solve.
no, and I'm saying you could have probably made another Spider-Man game that didn't look quite as pristine, didn't have as much of New York, and it would have done great.
it's actually fun we bring this up because like I told you guys, I don't know if I talked about it on the podcast or not, but about my blind man project when I was in school.
Mm-hmm.
So like in school, I went to uh, a school. I will not say for video game design. It could be the three major. It's one of the three major ones. You guys can try to figure it out if you can, listeners. But I was in school and my friends and I came up with this project called The Blind Man, where we like it was a stupid game we made for a game jam, and everybody loved the shit out of this thing. It's like my crowning achievement, honestly. I'm thinking about resurrecting it, but don't ask me to release it. I'll probably never release it if I ever somehow get it that far. But um, it was like compared to like all these other games, and these people had like these in-depth stories. They had all this writing, pages that they did, and at the end of the day, all the professors and everybody were like, "Okay, well, we play it. Like, what's making it fun?" And they just went on about like the lore and all this art stuff they did, and they're like, "Okay, but like, what makes it fun though?"
Huh.
And turns out they either had a walking simulator or they just had like a bunch of like, you know, art stuff. Like they had a lot of high res 3D models
Oh god.
and all this other shit. And my game looked like dog shit. It was 2D, like 2.5D, with a Borkin dog, but everybody loved it because it was simple. It was fun to play. And that was a lesson in itself for me as a person. And it's like, and like anything else, like, like what stands out really the most? Like, what holds an audience? Nothing more than the actual gameplay. Like and I feel like people get really hung up on what looks nice and all this other stuff. And I don't think developers or like publishers are taking into account like the fun factor.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a lesson that the industry is never going to take seriously. That's just my 2 cents.
It's sad, but
State of gaming in the current year is just asking, is this actually fun?
Yeah, like Final Fantasy, for example, won't continue on that, but that's a perfect example. They literally taken whatever was fun about the game and neutered it.
look at
What I'm
Pokemon.
shocked is I just haven't heard any complaints like this. Anyway, sorry, we're not talking about Final Fantasy 7. We'll get back to this in 2 weeks.
Well,
Let's talk about EA.
Yeah, let's talk about the often winner of worst company in America.
The crowning failure of video games to end this segment of us just complaining about video games.
I'm gonna retell the story I told at the beginning real quick because all the EA used to make all the old good Lord of the Rings games. So when Lord of the Rings Third Age boots up, it does EA Games challenge everything, and I have so many games like Command and Conquer Generals, one of my favorite strategy games. Like there are so many EA games that were so good back in the day, and now it's just so sad because EA just can't not trip over itself and stab itself. Like it's so pathetic.
So I saw one of the announcements for EA that I wanted to be intentionally vague with its title was just that EA announced they want to move away from working on licensed IPs.
Oh my god.
Which seems fucking insane because that's all EA does.
They they do sports games badly, and they do Star Wars games not at all because they canceled the Mandalorian game.
Well, you're missing an important word there. Exclusively, they do
Oh my
sports.
God.
They do sports teams exclusively for their leagues. They do Star Wars games exclusively for the longest time, and that was their thing. We have
pathetic.
the IP, and that's why we make money.
It's just I don't understand.
Yo, I don't know, man. The Jedi games recently have been kind of bangers.
They've been good, but like Tyler, we've talked about this so many times. You look back in the day of the early 2000s, how many Star Wars games that were like solid 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10s came out in like a 10-year span, and how many games have we gotten since EA took over? Like 6?
Listen, I don't care. Jedi is good, alright, bro. Whatever.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just
I
saying
know.
we could have more and other ones.
I don't care. I'm having fun playing other games right now. I don't give a fuck.
Oh my God.
Know how many games I'm juggling right now?
That's your
Too
own
fucking
problem.
many.
That's because you have time to play infinite video games.
No, I don't. I just said.
Yes, you do.
What did I
You-
just
oh my
say?
God. Your fiance plays video games. You have all the time.
Yeah, she's pretty great.
Yeah, I'm not even arguing that. I'm just saying you
I like her a
literally
lot.
don't have the.
She lets me have a life.
Oh my God.
This was not a jab towards you. This was not.
It's fine.
This was not.
That's why I set up the Xbox out in the living room so Val can watch me play Lord of the Rings and she can make fun of the terrible dialogue from the not very well written Lord of the Rings
You're
game.
starting to play Jedi though, Tim.
Cool. Can't set that up on an Xbox 360 out in the living room, so
All right, what if I loaned you my PlayStation 5?
never. Thank
Why?
you. No, thank you.
Why are you being this way? Why are you like this?
Look, man, it's nice to play a game that's simple and fun, and I remember it fondly instead of, oh boy, time to get sweaty for an hour.
Just set it on easy. Bro, we're not 20 years old anymore, okay? You can set things on easy. You don't have to... There is...
Says
Tim,
the guy who is
Tim,
like, I'm going for the
Tim.
highest levels of playing the Helldivers.
No, did I not tell you? I set it to medium.
Yeah, I know.
When I play by myself, it's like, it's
st-
an easy time.
I still don't know if I actually believe that.
That's, you know what, that you can choose to believe, whatever. Like, when I'm with people, yeah, I'll be sweaty. But I'm not. I put Final Fantasy VII on medium.
We're also supposed to be talking about EA. I know I am half the problem that I distracted, but we totally walked away from EA.
Whatever. EA
Yeah,
being
because
bad.
EA
They're
walked
canceling-
away from
they're
us. What's your
canceling
point?
True.
They want to move away from their business model. EA's always been bad, and now I just don't know what the hell they're doing.
The answer, probably nothing.
We never did, though. Like, I don't know. This EA quote problem has always been an issue. Like, I honestly don't know. Like, are we surprised?
No.
Are we legitimately surprised?
I'm not surprised. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. I am disappointed, father. Did you hear that they're trying to? This is one of those break glass in case of emergency things, where they're
Oh,
like re-releasing
God.
the Battlefront 2.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that.
No way.
Yeah, that's the
Like,
first Star Wars
one?
game in a while. Yeah, it's both of them actually. I think. Right, Tyler?
Probably just 2. Oh, I know you're right. It is both. It
Yeah.
is both. It is both. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not
very
gonna.
much.
I'm not gonna buy it, but
This screams of we need money.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Break
That's what I
glass in
say,
case
break
of
glass,
emergency.
Yeah.
Dude,
I
that game
don't
with
know, man.
Battlefront 2 was like that was a banger.
Yep. Yep. It sure was.
LucasArts made like next to like no misses. Yo, speaking of which,
That's what I was literally just saying.
I know. Tim, legitimate question, live on air. Do you think? Because I'm interested in seeing. I know it's not canon anymore, but was it Well, I'm blanking. The Star Killer games.
Force Unleashed.
Yeah, Force Unleashed.
What
Are
about
they
'em?
good? And should I play it or should I just watch your Let's Play?
You should probably play one. I've actually been I've wanted to re-record and do a season 2 of both of those, but getting them to play, like, you can't record them on PC easily. It's
Right.
actually pathetic.
Really?
Damn,
First one's pretty neat. Second one's a pretty big waste.
damn, that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
Which
the
one has
second-
the Star Destroyer where he pulls out? Is that
First
one?
yeah.
Okay, then that's the one I care about.
Terrible controls. Terrible controls. Actually, oh, maybe I should send you a link. One of the guys I subscribed to a little while ago on YouTube did a video about Force Unleashed, and he actually talks about, honestly, the best version of that game might be the PS2 version. Like they
luckily
lose.
I have a PS2 version.
That's
or a
what I
PS2
mean.
game or a console.
Emulator.
I mean.
Oh,
Oh, I
okay,
do have
well,
an
that's
emulator too. True.
well, I just mean, so I never played that one, but apparently they traded some of like the PhysX functionality for the game kind of just working a little better.
Okay.
Both versions have problems, but like I didn't hate my time. I mean, it's my most famous quote unquote. Geez, it had the most views of all my LPs, and I ripped into the game a fair bit. But it is fun. It just gets tedious. It's one of those games where it's like, oh, every mini boss is reused like a couple dozen times, and then like the boss fights are kind of whatever. But it's fine. It's fun. It's cool enough. I always played that game running around in like a stormtrooper armor with a whatever color lightsaber I felt like at the time. So that was fun to have costumes. There were like Obi-Wan Kenobi costumes. It was funny. It was fine. It was decent. I still think Jedi Academy is better. Did you ever play Jedi Academy or Jedi Outcast?
I rented it. I rented Jedi Academy for like a weekend. I remember. I didn't beat it though.
Jedi Academy is one of the games that I do replay every once in a while.
Maybe that's do you have an LP of that?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll put that up. I've been putting up random shit at work lately. I started Reboot.
What?
It's free on YouTube. Yeah.
That's wild.
Dude, everybody's like, "What the fuck is this?" I was like, "What? You're in IT? You don't know Reboot?"
So I never watched it, but one of my podcasts, one of the guys is a famous fan of reboots. So,
dude,
I never saw it.
Bob, badge number 452.
But yeah, if you ever, Jedi Academy's a banger. I'm one of the heathens in the Star Wars universe where I never played a lot of the earlier like Jedi. Like Dark Forces into Jedi Outcast into Jedi Knight, or Jedi Knight and then Jedi Outcast, like those games.
I remember
never
Jedi
played Knight. Jedi Academy is where I just started, and I enjoyed getting to like build your own Jedi and all that jazz. That was fun. Yeah, I would. I mean, don't feel like you can't watch any of my LPs, but no, Jedi. Honestly, if you're gonna play one, Jedi Academy is cheap and runs pretty well on PC. Controls a little wonky, but it's a fun Star Wars game. It's also the game that kind of led to. I know Jedi Outcast came first. Everyone freaking out. The one comment that's not even gonna be about this. Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy were kind of the first games that did like the one hit, one kill lightsaber combat that Force Unleashed became like the thing for, where it wasn't like KOTOR or the other games where it's like a wet noodle. It's like, no, in Jedi Academy, you are swinging a lightsaber and you're trying to get through the defenses of a dark Jedi, and whoever gets through probably kills the other person with a lightsaber swing if they can get it around or go through. So it's a lot of playing like, oh, do I jump away and use a force power? Do I pull out like a grenade and try to get him with AoE? Do I but he might force push it at me, which totally happens in the LP, I think. It's a lot of fun. Force Unleashed is like it's almost like we were talking about with the more polished but like less enjoyable kind of thing. Like Jedi Academy missions, there are main missions that are like a half hour or even longer, but there are missions that are legitimately like maybe 20 minutes, and that's a nice bite-sized little mission.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah. So yeah, EA really ruined it by taking away all the good Star Wars games. Battlefront 2 re-release because, that's a good one.
It's good. We need money, please. Please. Give us money.
Which is insane considering they have all the sports exclusives. So how are they running out of money? They spend $5 on it and get a couple million every year.
Dude, they're starting to like lose faith on those sports games, though.
Sure hope so.
Yeah, some of them they're getting a lot of kickback over how bad the most recent releases have been, or how
that's been happening for like 10 years. I have a vivid memory of walking down the road during my first college, listening to a podcast, and them being like,
Yeah, no, but gamers have been complaining for
Sports
10 years.
games.
Now they're getting the IP owners are the ones who are getting mad.
Oh, the investors.
That's where it's coming from. So that's why they're probably moving we got to move away from IPs because we can't use our shitty business model on them.
Actually, though, EA Sports.
It's in Japan.
Yeah, but speaking of bad business practices, let's talk about some anime shit.
Oh God, not this.
There's really not a lot to talk about here. Let's just talk about the biggest disappointment, which was the Crunchyroll Anime Awards, which were on Saturday.
Also known
morning.
as the Jujutsu Kaisen Domain Expansion Awards.
Holy shit!
Damn.
Jujutsu won half of all categories.
Oh my God.
And it didn't even correctly get nominated. So we've been over this. Crunchyroll doesn't allow anime from winter on, so everything up for consideration is was it September to September?
It's so weird.
Is that how they do
it? Yeah, it's
So
something.
if you look at what was actually nominated, only the first arc of Jujutsu Kaisen, the flashback arc with Gojo, Geto, and then I think maybe the first 3 episodes of the Shibuya arc. So spoiler,
Doesn't matter.
the Mechamaru shit is technically included in this. So Crunchyroll, in all clips they use for advertising that Jujutsu's up for the nomination, use stuff that's in the second half that wasn't up for nomination this year. But everyone voted for the Shibuya arc.
Maybe it was. Maybe it's like they're doing a crossover. Like if it's the first half and then the second half counts. I don't
know, but
it doesn't even matter.
If it means that Jujutsu Kaisen the Shibuya arc is up for nominations next year, I'm gonna fucking lose it. It's the popularity contest has gone on too long. This is getting stupid.
I feel like I've been hearing the same song and dance for the last couple of years from you.
Like I saw a good comment on the Anime News Network forums that like Crunchyroll's trying to position themselves as the Emmy of anime, but in reality they're just the MTV Movie Awards.
It's because it's popular. Okay. I don't want to sound like old man yelling at clouds. I probably will. But it kind of makes the Oscars seem less terrible by comparison. Because because if you think about it, like, what doesn't win at the Oscars? Yes, people have said for years, like, oh, the fact that Avatar wins prettiest thing is kind of stupid. Like, there's no recognition for the big moneymaker. But at the same time, should it win because it made a lot of money? No, it shouldn't. It's the same thing with Jujutsu. Like, the first half, you cannot make a case that the first half of that season of Jujutsu is better than all of Vinland Saga Season 2. It's just not a thing. It just
I
doesn't
forgot
make
that
sense.
came out around the same time as Jujutsu Season 2.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, was it Vinland's second half was going on at the start of Jujutsu, or
No, because Freeman, remember, Vinland was over. It was like a year ago now, so it was like right in the middle
was
of
a year ago. Holy
yes,
shit.
and then Jujutsu
like
was over the fall and then winter seasons.
All right.
So it's like all of Vinland was in this voting contention, and only the first half of an arc that is peak shonen action and no storytelling is what won for the. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't want to drag this out, but like the thing that pissed me off the most is you go to best character design.
Oh my God.
4 of the 5 that were nominated, all the characters are wearing the same uniform. It was Jujutsu Kaisen, it was Chainsaw Man, it was Demon Slayer.
No, Chainsaw I could see, because Chainsaw has a lot of secondary characters that are crazy. And
They're all wearing suits.
What? Yeah, but even then they have like the jacket off and stuff, like whatever.
And then like Hell's Paradise got thrown in there, which I'll say half the cast has unique designs, the other half are all wearing the exact same blue.
Oh, Hell's Paradise was a thing.
Yeah, it was. Down.
And then they give it to Jujutsu Kaisen, the season where half the cast is cosplaying as the other half of the cast, who are all wearing the same uniform. All right. Done being salty. This is just the saltiest episode I've been on.
Freeman, what was the one thing you said? Oh, yeah. Bocchi won Slice of Life, which also is like not even really a good nomination, but
it's not even a slice of life anime. So stupid. And then Crunchyroll swings and misses again when they announce that they are experimenting with using AI subtitling to reduce the overhead cost of having to translate to so many different languages.
Guys, paying translators pennies is really hard.
Guys, you don't understand. After raising all the prices, we can't afford to like release the product that you straight up pay us to release. It's absurd. Can't do it.
Sorry, can't do it.
I really hope
Lay
it
off
just
somewhere.
doesn't end up in just garbage tier subtitles. I know what it most likely means is languages other than English are probably going to get implemented first. But we'll see.
Sorry, you Portuguese folk.
Oh yeah, do you know you just said that? It's not in the news. Wizards announced they were discontinuing 2 languages of printed Magic the Gathering cards: Portuguese and simplified Chinese.
Ooh,
and
that sucks.
I was surprised with the Chinese announcement though.
The Chinese announcement's fucking hilarious considering it was like 5 years ago where Wizards printed literally an entire like set of Planeswalker decks and introduced characters to Magic that are very directly from China, basically. It's like what, Freeman? It's like Wu Yang Lin and
the one with the dog, right?
The kid with the dog that came back and wore like they printed 2 characters that are just like, we are representing Chinese culture, and now China doesn't even get printed cards, and Portugal is like, goodbye all of Brazil getting into Magic now.
That was the weird thing with the Portuguese players. Like there are a good number of them, but the problem is the product wasn't selling in the language.
Yeah.
I think
which is where it really sucks because it's like, Wizards is doing this only because they're like, how can we cut every cost because we have to have we have to keep Hasbro's heart beating. It's like
after doubling every year for the last 4 years, we need to continue doubling every year for the next 6 years.
Dude, it's not going to happen this year. There's no Lord of the Rings this year. Assassin's Creed ain't it. Like, it ain't happening. I can't wait to hear the end of the year call. But it's like in Warhammer. What is it? 1 million people are sacrificed every day to keep the Emperor alive or something like that.
Yeah.
All I
bunch
think
of psychers.
Yeah. All I can think is like, oh man, what are we sacrificing today to keep Hasbro's heart beating?
Dude.
Throw Portuguese on the fire. Throw Chinese on the fire.
Yeah, whatever to keep them alive.
Or in Crunchyroll's case, throw the Portuguese subtitles on the fire.
Yeah, we don't even know if it's Portuguese subtitles. I'm just like,
no, I know, but
it's simply the first to go.
It's weird though because anime is so much more. It feels like international than like Magic is. Like anime is pretty worldwide. Considering Oshinoko's opening was #1 in the world outside of the U.S., anime's kind of everywhere at this point.
That's a perfect transition because Shueisha, the company that runs Shonen Jump, is well aware that they are big outside of Japan and are really trying to like court the outside Japan audience. So much so that Kaiju #8, their new big hit that's going to be releasing next season, they're getting One Republic to do the opening.
I thought it was the ending.
Is it?
I thought it was the
all
ED.
All I know is I don't think there's a Japanese group doing the OP or the ED. This is like very much, hello, English speakers. Please watch Kaiju #8.
We would like to play.
Yeah. Honestly, they... By having the Jujutsu opening have English words very big and prominent on it, I think that did a good job of getting people listening to this song and made it like explode on TikTok.
Yeah, the opening song is performed by Young Blood, with the ending theme song is performed by One Republic. But Young Blood is an English singer.
Yeah, they want the international audience.
But One Republic, like, what?
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, good lord, this is...
you guys ready to feel old? What year did One Republic get formed?
I'm scared.
It had to been like mid-2000s.
2002.
All right, I wasn't that far off.
All right, well, it was a nice time talking at the podcast.
Time to go dig my own grave.
Yep, I'm gonna die soon.
All right, that's it for the Weeb shit.
Oh boy.
Not that much to talk about.
That's okay, because we're also going to... Freeman, why don't you just rip through these anime that you started, because you're...
Yeah, I'll rip through them and spend more on the last one. Yeah, so there's not that much good shit this season, so I'm picking up on stuff that I missed up on last season and one that was on my plan to watch list. First one, Shangri-La Frontier. Tim and I've already talked about it a lot. Tim had been watching it and been trying to get me to watch it. It's very much like take all the good parts of Sword Art, get rid of all the dumb stuff like the harem, get rid of your edgy protagonist, but keep the idea of this solo gamer who's just cool to watch. You want to see him overcome in-game challenges using actual game mechanics and game experience. One giant epic gamer moment after another. This is a gamer anime for gamers. Go watch.
Gamer anime for gamers.
And then Apothecary Diaries is actually the legitimately best anime airing at the moment. Actually, hold on. That may be a loaded statement. There's the free run is happening this season. Apothecary Diaries is good though. This is one of the shows where like I'm actually recommending to a couple people I know who don't particularly love anime, just because this is actually a interesting mystery series.
Yep.
Where each episode has just like all of the mysteries are solved using actual real world science. You never feel like they pull a bullshit explanation out of it. And there's like very small overarching plots that they don't demand your attention, but there's enough going on that you have interest carrying you episode to episode. A lot of mystery shows like I think Vanitas sort of fit this bill where like
Vanitas, yeah.
I just did not really care about the overarching narrative because it just wasn't that good. Whereas Apothecary is the overarching narrative is just very small. It's like, who are people? What are their character relations? Very simple and very easy to understand what's going on and care week to week.
Plus, Mao Mao is a character you really can get interested in what she's doing quickly.
Oh, she hard carries the show. She's such a fun main character.
Yeah.
And then the last one, I've been waiting a while to watch this. Summertime Render. I'm very disappointed, not in the anime, in the watching experience, because it's a Hulu exclusive, which means your subtitles are closed captions. White text on a black background with sound effects and every character name before all of their lines. I had to find some other way to watch this. So I tried going to GoGo Anime, and I'm like, okay, their player does support Chromecasting, but if you don't have an ad blocker, it is literally impossible to stay on the page for more than 3 seconds before you get redirected to some Chatterbait ad. So I had to specifically install an ad block web browser on my phone just to go to GoGo Anime so I can Chromecast Summertime Render. And that is the only way this show is watchable. Because otherwise it's a great show. It's kind of like Higurashi meets ReZero. It's stuck in a time loop trying to solve mysteries. Every time he dies, he comes back from the beginning.
Oh my god, that actually freaked me out. I was like, what? That actually made me jump in my chair. I was so not ready for that.
It's right up my alley. And it seems like it's just getting good. It's unfortunate that Final Fantasy VII came out right now, so I haven't watched an episode in like a week now. But then before I had started all of these, so right after my shoulder surgery where I had nothing better to do, I rewatched Overlord Season 1 to see if my opinion had changed since I watched it when it first came out. And I regret to inform you, Tim, but my opinion hasn't changed on it.
No.
I left the arc where Ainz is totally bronze rank adventurer, and he's totally super weak. And then he gets the fight against the assassin girl, and the whole gimmick of the fight is, no way, Ainz is that strong. But we went into this arc knowing this, so like the payoff for it was not there. So I'm like, all right, I know the Shaltier arc is supposed to be better. Let me watch this. And there was a scene that encapsulates what I don't like about the show.
Oh.
So Shaltier's sent on a mission, and she's just straight up killing people. And the strongest dude in the party opposing her is like, I think I have a chance to beat her. And then he stands there with his sword drawn, and he announces, maximize spell break 3, level 7, and he announces like 15 things, and then he does a normal sword slash. There's no extra visual effect shown on it. It's just a regular sword slash, and she dodges it. And he goes, what? How could she be that strong? And I'm watching this, and I'm like, they just told us that what he's doing is strong just to tell us that it's not. And then the whole fight with Ainz and Shaltier is the same thing. They just keep naming shit and then doing the same beam spam they did the whole fight. And it threw me for a loop where the whole fight they're using the spell maximize spell before listing like 5 other spells they're going to use. And then halfway through, Ainz starts casting triple maximize spell, which I pause and like, this is it. This is Kaioken times 10 all over again. This is let me throw out a bigger number, but not actually change anything about the stakes or the action. And they're just telling me how strong everyone is. And that was what I didn't like the first time I saw it, and I still didn't like it. So I'm unfortunately not changing my Overlord Season 1 score. I'm hoping with season 2 onwards is better because everyone will not shut up about the world building. So I'm hoping
The world
differs.
building.
I'm hoping it differs after season 1, but I
don't think it's gonna get better.
damn, maybe I should have just not watched that.
I mean, if you don't like Freeman, how many times have you been like, Tim, if you don't like it, then it's okay to not like it and just stop.
You are
watching
absolutely right, but I wanted to give this one a second chance.
Yeah, but you say it in that voice too. For you're like, Tim, it's okay to be a loser and be wrong. I mean,
Damn.
Look, it's okay to drop shows. I actually dropped Metallic Rouge.
I was literally Friedman. I had Mal open because I was like, I want to talk about a couple shows real quick. But if you're gonna say it, I put Akiba on our dropped list, Friedman, because I don't know if we're gonna watch more Akiba.
Oh, that's fine. I don't mind dropping that one.
And then Metallic Rouge is on hold. Val and I are probably gonna drop it, and that Sasaki to P.
Are you guys cool if I watch more of it? I'm pretty sure I'm gonna drop it, but I'm curious if it's drop worthy.
I mean, go for it. Oh, and also that weird torturing the princess show that we started, I marked as dropped after one episode.
Oh yeah, that one just got boring. Anyway, yeah, it's cool to drop shows. I didn't drop Overlord because it wasn't unenjoyable, but I wanted to give it a fair shake to see if it was just me not getting it the first time, and I didn't get it the first time, but I just don't like it more now.
Freeman, it's okay. We've established that all of us have good taste in some ways and bad taste in some ways. I mean, Luigi has mostly bad taste, but sometimes, like with Overlord, he has good taste.
Damn.
I'm mostly just blaming him because of all the times because of the time he brought that show to all of us, and we all were like, "What is, dude?"
I'll never. The worst part is him realizing maybe it's not a good show.
It was so we watched him crumble live.
Kicked out of the
if
Demon
you
Lord
if you
I'm still in my 30s or something.
If you slow it down, you can see when his heart actually breaks. Jesus.
All right, Freeman. I think that's enough anime for everybody, though.
Yeah, 2 more. I got 2 actual real movies to talk about that aren't anime. The first one I watched my other friend group just because I think it was nominated for some award, so we wanted to see what the hype was. The movie's called The Holdovers. It's starring Paul Giamatti. And the plot is, well, I just want to clarify. The whole movie takes place in the 70s, and it does its absolute best to make it feel like a movie that was shot in the 70s, which I think is why it was getting nominated. It's the thing I enjoyed most about it. But the plot of the movie is Paul Giamatti plays this like old teacher at this boys' boarding school up in Boston or near Boston. And a couple of the students, their parents aren't taking them home for Christmas, and he's the teacher who's assigned to watch them over Christmas. And it's one of these like learning to bond with your students, learning about like flaws in each other. It's very much one of those movies that's like we are trying to win an award. I thought it meandered. Like I loved the message of it. I thought it meandered way too long to probably have been about 20 minutes shorter.
Freeman, would you like to say what your letterbox score was?
I don't remember what I gave it.
3.5.
3.5.
You actually are on the lower end of scores because it's most people are giving it 4 or higher.
Yeah, I acknowledge the acting was very good and the cinematography was phenomenal. They did a lot of shots where I haven't seen these in any movie produced in the last like 30 years or so. Like very funny zooms or certain fade shots. It was very like intentionally trying to mimic the style of filmmaking at the time, so I liked it for that. But there was just some of the character development and just the pacing of the story I didn't particularly enjoy, so that's why I knocked it down from like a 4, which I was originally considering. But yeah, it's a good movie. I probably would never rewatch it though.
Well, Freeman, why don't you talk about your other movie that you gave the exact same score?
Yeah, so then I watched Nimona, and maybe I'm out of touch, but like the first 20 minutes in this movie was like pedal to the metal. Line, no second to breathe, no break, plot point. We gotta go fast, details quickly. I was struggling to breathe watching this movie. It slows down after the 20-minute mark, and it becomes bearable, but I don't know what it was about the beginning. It felt too fast-paced.
The pacing
overall, I liked it.
Did feel off when I watched it, too.
Oh, sorry, say that again? The
pacing did feel off when I watched it, too.
Overall, I enjoyed it. Animation style was pretty cool.
It's interesting, Freeman, because the reason I brought up the score thing is because you and me actually gave it the same score, and Tyler was at 4. We were both at 3.5.
I think I was a little overhyped for it is the problem.
That does not surprise me, because even for only giving it a 4, or I think, or no, you know what it was? Leslie, Val liked it, but Leslie especially was like, "Oh my god, this is my favorite movie of like all time."
Yeah, I was like, damn.
Yeah. It may just be a writing style preference. Like there was one scene in particular that jumped out at me with at first I didn't like it and then I liked it. It's so the main character's lovers in the car with the like head of the knights.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Are you okay?" And then he starts going on this long-winded rant about why he's not okay. He's like, "I cut off his arm. Did they train us to cut off arms?" And I'm sitting here like, "What the fuck is this dialogue? This is stupid." And then it cuts to him like this was just in his head. And he says, "I'm fine." And I was like, "Damn, the cut was great, but the dialogue inside of his head was just like a little too goofy for me to appreciate the scene 100%." And that's how I felt about the movie as a whole. There was a lot of dialogue where it was just almost a little too goofy for me to appreciate 100%. I realize like it is a kids movie. It is aimed at children, like they're trying to get these jokes across, so like I'm not gonna hold it against it for that, but
Gotcha.
it was like it felt like a lot of times it was a little too on the nose, like they could have held back a little bit with some of the line delivery, but overall not a bad movie. This is 100%. I would show this to any kid. This is a great movie.
Yeah. Speaking of great movies, so Val and I went to a wedding in Phoenix 2 weekends ago. And as always, it meant on the plane, I had a bunch of time with Netflix on my tablet to watch some movies. And I got to watch a couple bangers. First off, 2 of them were rewatches, but man, were they great. First one was Blues Brothers. This movie is one that has so much nostalgia for me. I remember jamming out to this movie as a young teenager, being like, this is the coolest thing ever. This is so funny. This is such good music. This is great. And I still feel that way to this day. Like, there is almost no movie like Blues Brothers that's just this combination of comedy, music, action, some of the goofiest car chases ever put on film. Like, this movie just has it all, and I feel like this is what modern movies for me. When you're describing Nimona, like, doesn't stop. This is like Blues Brothers is the movie that has something happening all the time, but there's such perfectly placed room to breathe that you don't ever feel overwhelmed, except when they want to overwhelm you, which is hilarious. Like the ending. Tyler, have you seen Blues Brothers?
Like on TV when I was a kid 5 bajillion years ago.
This is a movie I would say if you guys come over and we do a movie night, I would love for you guys to watch Blues Brothers. So much I would love to watch Blues Brothers with you guys.
Down for a group
Actually,
watch,
you know
because,
what?
don't screw me, I haven't seen Blues Brothers. I still want to watch it, but I just haven't seen it.
You know what's kept
What?
me from
That's what I'm
watching it for real?
What?
Because I played a song from Blues Brothers in high school all the time for football games.
Which one?
I honestly can't remember. I like put it out of my brain.
Tyler, there is so much music in this movie.
When it comes up, I can let you know.
Sure. But wait, Freeman, why are you saying you don't want to watch it?
No, I'm saying I do want to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm apologizing because I haven't seen it, and I know it's a good
Oh,
movie.
no, it's fine. I
I
would be thrilled to show you guys Blues Brothers for the first time together. Absolutely. This is an absolute all-time classic for me. And I still gave it a 4.5 star. Like, we all have movies that we could quote out of nowhere. This is one that you could say like any quote. You could say almost anything from this movie. There's just funny. This is one of those movies where it's not a joke. There is just funny things happening on screen. And I feel like that's such a lost art, if that makes any sense, where it's everything is so in your face these days to be funny. Like, this is the I almost want to make the joke, but I don't want to give away any of the jokes in this movie. There's so much. Every moment feels useful and important and entertaining, whether it's because it's funny or it's exciting or the music is just banging. Like, all of these things come together and just make the movie great. So yeah, mega classic if you've never seen it. Then I watched something that a friend of mine watched when it was in theaters, and I meant to see it with them, but I never got around to it. So I watched A Man Called Otto. which is the old man Tom Hanks movie. This movie got me surprisingly emotional on the plane. It's definitely Tom Hanks wants to show that he can be an old man unhappy actor, or Tom Hanks wants to represent the unhappy old man. Spoiler alert, or I guess trigger warning almost. There is definitely themes and like instances of attempted suicide in this movie, so be warned for that going in if that upsets you. But it's at the end of the day, this is a really heartwarming story that honestly makes you. What did I say? Let me just pull out Letterboxd because I thought I had a good little review that summed it up pretty well. I thought. A heartfelt story of how much your life matters to those around you and how much good you can do so easily. Even the gruffest people can be kind and need kindness. What only doesn't get a like because it's tough enough to watch that I'll likely never do a rewatch. But I gave it 3.5 stars. This is definitely, if you feel up for it, or if you want something a little more with emotional like weight to it, this is not a bad time. It's a well done movie, and you kind of see where it's going, but the journey feels so natural that it's like you are living through parts of this man's life, and it's kind of refreshing to have a story that isn't huge, if that makes any sense. I feel like everything we're watching these days is how big and how crazy, but this is a very small story about a man and the block he lives on, and it's kind of refreshing to see one of those done really well.
Is this better or Gran Torino better?
Honestly, Tyler, Gran Torino has been one of those movies that keeps popping into my brain once every couple months, and I'm like, I should do a rewatch, but you can't watch Gran Torino anywhere.
Really?
Is it? I don't think it's streaming like anywhere. I've searched for it on Netflix a ton of times.
Huh. Let's see.
Yeah, you have to pay for it. Or it's on Max, so...
Damn. Was it on Max? I mean, I can watch it on Max.
Yeah, well, some of us can't.
Oh, shit, Max reminded me. Hold it. There's one more anime I talk about at the end of this.
No, I saw it say The Wire Season 1 because Tyler's going to talk about that later, and I was like, oh yeah, the anime The Wire.
The anime The Wire.
But, no, So, Tyler, I think Gran Torino deals with... I mean, Gran Torino deals with racism. This deals with but
yeah,
like,
being an old man.
No, totally, but it's a different kind of
living on the block.
Like not for no. Okay, so this isn't a spoiler because it literally starts out with this. Otto is Tom Hanks, and it opens with him at a store buying rope. And within 5 minutes of the movie starting, he's like trying to hang himself in his house because he's such a lonely, sad old man. Clint Eastwood never considers that in Gran Torino. He's just an angry old man, but he's like, I'm living. Imagine if this is like a prequel to Gran Torino where he has to learn.
I beg to differ.
What?
Mild spoiler. Beg to differ.
I mean, that's probably fair. I don't remember Gran Torino that well, honestly.
Really?
It's a 2008 movie. I probably haven't seen it since 2008, 2009.
Yeah, maybe you should find a way to watch it again.
That's what I mean. You're probably right. Otto is still good and worth seeing, and it's on Netflix, which is usually easier for people.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then I was like, I'm on a Tom Hanks kick. Why don't I rewatch another movie that is always buzzing in my brain for a rewatch? Apollo 13.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is still one of the greatest history thriller movies that exists. Like, the tension, the dialogue, all the moments in this movie are just so impactful and so exciting. It recreates that feeling of you watch this movie, you know what happened. You watch every second of this movie and you're like, is this everyone has those movies that they think they're going to change when they rewatch them. This is the movie that it's like, have I misremembered this every time? Do they actually die? I know I've seen this a bunch of times. I know they actually don't die. Do they die? This seems like they might die.
I never had that feeling watching Apollo 13.
Well, do you have that feeling about any movies?
What about no?
Well, then, okay,
Not
so I'm
really.
describing an experience that you don't understand. So maybe it's just a me
Yeah.
weird thing.
I mean,
Either
I had the
way,
experience rewatching where I was just like, every scene, I'm like, damn, I can't believe this really happened to real people.
yes, there you go. Also true. But I don't know. This is just such an exciting movie to me. It makes me excited for like space, and it makes me wish we were doing more with space, and I like excited for us to go back to the moon and that kind of thing. So
Too bad we never will in our lifetime.
Not
Hey.
unless we buy Elon's shitcoins.
Yeah.
Tyler, just
Life
talk
is
about
suffering.
just talk about your whatever this long
Dude, I
title
want to
is.
go back to space too. We've been getting some like pretty dope space pictures lately. Have you seen them?
No, just talk about your thing. I
Like
don't even.
Jupiter.
Oh, the
Okay,
telescope.
I'll
I
talk
don't
about
wanna.
Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Sure.
Wait, I
I'm
thought you were
going out
gonna.
of order because I'm trying
Oh,
to get the
okay.
shit out of the way.
Uh
Also, I will admit to this. Okay,
oh.
I walked in. So Michelle and I went to her parents' house. It was her mom's birthday over the weekend, and they were watching the new Aquaman movie. It was like just under halfway. Like we watched most of it. I'm like, you know what? I watched enough of this dog shit for me to fucking rate it. So I rated it. It goes without saying it's terrible. I'm just like, I'm definitely not missing anything by not watching these DC movies.
Todd, it's okay. This was the last one for realsies this time. This is the last one.
Yep. Yep. I can't. I just like, holy shit. And I do think it's interesting, but I guess there was no way for them to do it. But uh, oh my god, what the fuck is her name? Johnny Depp's ex.
Amber Heard.
Yeah, Amber Heard. Like she was in the movie completely, and I'm just like, damn. Guess they really could not take her out of the movie. Like there was no way.
Nope.
Yeah, I think she was like just way too much in it. Yeah, that goes without saying it's shit. So we're not gonna talk about that. Uh, I finished the Age of Madness trilogy, which is the third, or I guess technically second trilogy. Yeah, it's the second trilogy in the First Law series. So this takes place after the three standalone novels, and that is after the first trilogy. And this book was called the Wisdom of Crows, or Wisdom of Crowds. Oh God, I can't read. Yeah, Wisdom of Crowds. And it's by Joe Abercrombie. It's pretty fun. It was good. My only problem with it is that there's literally no fucking magic. Like
Trash.
it's classified as a fantasy, not like fantasy series, but I would say it's more political intrigue in action than there is fantasy,
Huh.
which is kind of a bummer. So I don't know. And like I'm like, all right, well I'm 9 books deep, and I also feel like there's really nothing happening either. It's
Oh
just
no.
like events are happening, and a lot of the like Joe Abercrombie's characters are great, and like the arcs are good, but I'm like, damn, what am I working up to? It's not really, maybe it's just over my head, I guess, but like I feel like there's just like nothing there. It's just spinning its wheels,
Gotcha.
and there's like nothing coming, so I don't know. I'll probably keep reading them or listening to them, whichever. I'm a big fan of the narrator, Stephen Pacey, through these books. I think he did a fantastic job reading them. So I don't know. I'm so far in. I like the. I'm also invested in the characters. I'm very interested in the characters. That's probably what's going to keep me going. But it's cool. Uh, I recommend this. So now I'm officially caught up with the series. So far, I recommend this to people who are into, like, if you liked Game of Thrones political intrigue, but it doesn't have as much magic in it.
Hmm.
And also if you like kind of like grim dark uh and character work, like this is for you. It's extremely well written. And then I also finished. I started watching The Wire
Woo.
for like the 100th time. I don't know what happened, but I tried watching this show like I don't know 2 or 3 times before, and then somewhere between the third time and this time now, I'm like, dang, this show's pretty good. How come I haven't watched it before?
Oh my god.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think my tastes like changed. It's actually very interesting. I've noticed that there's a lot of things that I've in the past kind of wrote off or tried to watch and I couldn't get into them. And then I end up going back to them later and I'm like, "Oh, I see why people like this thing." Right? Cuz The Wire for me was like super slow and I think I was still in a time in my life where I was not into slow things, but uh now I'm into like really slow things. Well, I don't know. It's so weird cuz like I like slow burn stuff. Like I remember watching No Country for Old Men and I liked it. So I'm not sure why I didn't like stuff like I don't know. It was a really weird thing, but I don't know. It's pretty good. And the reason why I'm kind of going through it is the show I guess I should be paying attention to, but I've been leaving it on like it's a show that I put on while I cook. So or like I've been working out too. So like whatever like that time frame is, like cuz Michelle and I swap off between cooking and not and like exercising. So it's like one day I'll cook and the next day I'll exercise and vice versa. So I've been watching it and I'm like, dang, this is pretty good. It's definitely dated. It shows its age because it's all revolves around Baltimore, Maryland police in the early 2000s using wiretaps and like to payphones and getting
Oh god.
search warrants and like for or not search just warrants to tap like their beepers and shit. It's hilarious.
Beepers. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, dude. It's like and like the whole procedure thing too. Like I really like the back and forth between because it follows simultaneously like the police and the drug dealers. And they kind of show like a how both sides play this kind of Game of Thrones, so to speak. It's actually really funny if you think about it. It's like Game of Thrones, but it's a crime show because by the end of the season, there's clearly a side that wins, but like the other side isn't that much affected and they tell you straight up. It's like just because the quote good guys won this doesn't mean that one they're the good guys and two they didn't really make a huge difference. They just kind of stirred the pot and like everything now that is risen is because of this, but nothing really changed. It's more like the pieces just shifted on the board. And I thought it was pretty. I think it's pretty good. It's got some corny bits to it, but I think it's solid if people are into crime shows. I get why it was a big deal back when it came out, at least based on the first season. And now I'm in the second season, where it's about I don't know. It starts off where like a cop finds I think it was like a 13 bodies just dead in a crate somewhere like on this boat.
Dang, strong opening to a season.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It went from I mean they still have some of the same people like from the like the drug dealers gang from the first season, but now they included this whole aspect of this labor union that is corrupt and their beef with the police department with a like particular police major and now they're kind of doing a whole thing that and it also turned into like a two different sides to a kind of who done it now that leads to a possible conspiracy. So we'll see. I'll let you guys know how I feel if I still like this show at the end of season 2.
Woo.
We didn't finish this next show though.
No. Well, so
Not
I don't
over.
remember if you talked about it during the last podcast though.
I don't think I did.
So no, at that point in time, you were the only one who had started it. I started it since then, but someone mentioned Max, and I remember that I started watching Ninja Kamui on HBO Max. I mean, I don't. Well, we can spoil the plot of this one, but like, this is just John Wick the anime.
It's literally just John Wick, bro. Like everything from his family getting murdered. Well, I don't know. John Wick's family didn't get murdered that we know of. Technically, I mean, she died from
Someone,
sickness.
The only
someone he
family he
loved
had
getting
got
murdered
murdered.
in the first movie.
Yeah. And he breaks open a fucking thing in his wall, and he gets stuff, and he vows revenge, and yada yada yada.
Falling
Honestly,
out
the
with the
plot's
same
kind of
organization he
ass.
worked with. It's a show where you're watching it for the action.
Yeah, you're like, and the action is good.
Like the action's carrying the show.
Yeah, if the action wasn't as good, I would honestly drop this show. Like the plot is super bad.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to stretch it out for 12 episodes. I think I
Yeah,
only saw the first two. I got to catch up. I'm like 3 behind now.
like honestly, I don't even think the action's gonna carry it for me.
Just,
Like,
it's how much can they escalate it? Because like even in episode 2, some of the fights were like already kind of ridiculous.
yeah. So I don't know. Oh, I think they're oh, because you didn't see the newest episode.
No,
Like
I'm a little behind.
they introduce some characters.
Has it been escalating effectively
Uh,
or not really?
no, not really. Kind of, I guess.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
I will say my high hopes overall, just for the animation side of it, is that this is the director of Jujutsu Kaisen and God of High School. This is the project he moved on to work on. It's like it kind of shows in some of the fight choreography. But
Yeah.
like you look at God of High School, it's not the kind of show where I thought the action carried the show either.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep watching it. I'm gonna see where it goes. Maybe it'll be something interesting. But as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I see, I mean, it's clearly a show that like if you like do not watch it for the plot. Like, if anybody wants to watch it, do not watch it for the plot. It's not worth it. Like, bless you're not gonna get any substance out of it. And like,
Yeah.
I think there's like 4 episodes out.
4 or
I
5
have
at this
zero
point.
faith. Yeah, 4 or 5, something like that. I am caught up. So, what do you think so far after watching 2 episodes?
I mean, I think it's beautiful. I'm like I said before, I'm just watching for the action because I don't really know where they're going with the plot. They do allude to, like dystopian Mark Zuckerberg is totally behind the plot, and they may do some like dystopian future messaging here, but really I'm just here to watch ninjas fight.
Yeah, it's in spoiler. It doesn't really change from that.
I wasn't
It's
expecting it to.
yeah. It's I was gonna say I feel like it's not. I'm not out of base saying that. Like it's kind of obvious, but I will keep watching for the action because the action seems pretty nuts and it's brutal too. I'm like, yo, this is up my alley.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah,
I
we hit
think.
everything. Tim, you still with us?
Yeah, sorry. Right as
He's
you right as
busy booting up
no
LOTR third age.
no. Right as you were finishing, I felt this massive yawn coming on, and I was trying to lean away, and then you're like, "Tim, where'd you go?" And I'm like, "Oh." No,
That
but
Shaun of the Dead fucking yawn.
yeah, no, Shaun. Oh hell yeah, Shaun of the Dead. God, if that was on Netflix, that would be a rewatch soon, probably. That movie's always up for rewatch. So that's it. Sorry, it was a pretty depressing cast, everybody. Hopefully, we can have a better one in the future when there isn't oops all bad news or sad news.
Yeah, maybe if we got some more positive news, we have some fun stuff to talk about.
Probably unless we go delayed next podcast, we won't. But the podcast after that will have finished basically this whole season of anime, so there should be a lot of shows to talk about for me and Freeman to blitz through in about a month when everything starts or when everything ends for the season. So that'll be coming up. But until next time, my name is Timpedia.
Friedman.
Just God Emperor Tyler.
For Super